we're going to get into our emoji tiers. This is one of my favorite things that we do. I love doing these, probably because it's like the lazy man version of power rankings.
Yeah.
Because it's hard going 1 through 30, but grouping them into 5, it's not easy, but it sure is easier than doing 1 through 30. So
it's easier. Yeah.
all right, here we go. So let's get these emoji tiers up here. I have mine first on the PowerPoint here this time, Brig. So I'm going to start it off.
Okay, do it.
With my diamond tier, I have the Rays, Rangers, and Braves. As much as it pains me to put the Rangers in there, they are so good. So good.
Why does it pain you?
Because they're an AL West team. I don't want them. I don't want the AL West.
Oh, I forget that
team to
you're a
be the-
whiner. Yeah.
and it's not so much that I don't want an AL West team that's not the Mariners to be in the diamond tier. It's that I don't like the Rangers because they're an AL West team. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would move to the next one, but Brig, go ahead with your diamond tier.
So my diamond tier, I'm not upset about. It's pretty straightforward. It's the Rays, the Braves, and the Rangers. Again, baseball family, just for those of you that may be new, we don't collaborate on these. We don't go back and forth and talk about them until we get on the show. So, Brad, in your face, I've been calling the Rangers being awesome all season long. I'm going to keep the alibi here that I didn't think it would be this season. I didn't think it would be this early. I thought it would be next. And even with Jacob deGrom out, I'm still not worried about them being awesome. I think Jonah Heim is a big part of it. I think, anyway.
I told you, man, he's an underrated catcher. I actually am really happy for him that he's in the top 2 of All-Star voting because he deserves it.
He totally does. Yep, he totally does. So, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, kind of in a new spot.
Corey Seager is otherworldly right now,
I know.
by the way.
And you're like, what?
Well, I thought, to me, like the way he was last year, I know he was hurt off and on last year, but it was almost like the dude got paid and that's it, right? But that's not a Seager thing to do, right? No. So, like, I was a little bit confused by it, but also kind of like, I get it. But no, like he's earning his paycheck this year, for sure.
You know who I'm most excited for or about is Nate Eovaldi. Like, talk about a second life. That dude has picked it up and has started screaming forward. Whatever metaphor I was trying to use there. He's doing great, Brad. He's doing awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then the Braves, the super duh. They might be the most well-rounded, well-balanced team in baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays just simply cannot lose. That's amazing.
The Rays, and that's the thing that's crazy is that over the weekend it was like, man, the Rays and Rangers. Whoa, the Rays blew the Rangers out of the water.
Right. Strongest team in baseball, Tampa Bay Rays. Best overall team in baseball, probably the Atlanta Braves.
Except when they lose to the Nats by 6-2. That really upset me yesterday. I'll tell you about that later because I'm done talking about that. But anyway, all right, on to the heart tier. My heart tier, I have the Pirates, Yankees, Dodgers, Orioles, Marlins, Diamondbacks, Phillies, and Astros. Not in that order because remember, these are tiers. They're not in order. But if I did have to put an order to it, the Phillies would be at the bottom. I'm doing this a lot based on the fact that there was a lot of teams in my question mark tier. I had to bump one team up because I didn't have enough in my heart tier, and the Phillies were the winner in that regard. Because I really do feel like they're just a shade under 500. I feel like they can break out any day. And I keep saying about the Padres too. The Padres could break out and just explode any day and not look back. I feel the same way about the Phillies. But I feel more so about the Phillies because I don't feel like they have the clubhouse issues that apparently the Padres have.
Right.
So, and I'm still in on the Pirates, by the way.
Yep. I am too.
Yeah, I'm in on the Pirates. The Marlins are a really good team to me. They're sitting quite a ways over 500. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have the standings right here. I should take a look.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll pull them up for you.
They're 37-29 going into Monday.
Right. They're 561 is their ranking.
And they have as much firepower in that roster as anybody. Their issue is their pitching, but it seems like they've been better. Sandy Alcantara has been up and down, mostly down this year. But if that dude gets right, they're going to be a dangerous team.
They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Marlins are.
I know. Yeah.
Watch out now.
Yeah, exactly right. Watch out. Okay, Brig, who do you have in your heart tier?
So my heart tier consists of Baltimore. So I've got the Orioles, Pirates, D-backs, Astros, Marlins, Blue Jays, Dodgers, Yankees. The only reason the Dodgers are in this category is because you have to put them there. Their record is 37-29. However, I am not confident in the Dodgers at this point at all. They're 3-7 in their last 10. I think they're 3.5 games behind Arizona and probably sliding. The only reason that they're not further back is because the Giants just aren't very good right now. The Padres cannot figure things out, and then you've got the Rockies, and we don't have to talk about that. So, if the Dodgers were in a handful of other divisions, they'd be in big trouble. So they're the ones that I need to justify.
So, and one thing about the Dodgers, I was thinking about this as I was putting this together, is if this was a weekly thing, I would absolutely have the Dodgers down 100%. Yeah. I think so. And the Diamondbacks, man, like the Dodgers are in trouble. The Dodgers are not going to win that division.
I don't think that. I mean, if things keep going the way they're going, it would be really hard for them to win the division.
The Diamondbacks look like world beaters right now.
They do. They're 40-25 overall, and I don't understand. Corbin Carroll probably going to win NL Rookie of the Year at this point. He's what has he got, a 3.0 F-WAR, 3.1 or something like that. It's awesome. They've got Ketel Marte has figured it out, dude.
He's back. He's
back. That's the coolest thing ever. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for him too, because I've been waiting for it since I've been here for him to be back, and I am pumped that he is.
Yep. The last time was a couple years ago when they were when he was the only D-back in the All-Star game, and we were all just loving him. And then he
came from Seattle. And I was like, man, this dude's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so and then you have to talk about Zach Gallen. That dude,
he got roughed up against the Tigers yesterday. I got to watch that game yesterday because it was on Peacock.
Yeah,
he got roughed up some. But the thing is that offense is so good. Like I joked about this on Facebook. I told Mel, she's like, "Oh man, they're going to lose." I was like, "No. It's 5-2. They're playing the Tigers. They're never out of this thing."
Yeah,
and sure enough, they came back and they stormed back and won.
Here's the other thing. Zach Gallen's ERA, he got roughed up against the Tigers. His ERA is still 3.00. So I'm good. Like, you get roughed up, you raise your ERA to 3?
Well, okay. And for him, roughed up is relative because he only I think he gave up 4 or 5 runs is all.
Yeah, I'm hot on the D-backs right now. I'm still all in on the Pirates. I'm loving them. The Blue Jays are bangers when they are on. When they're off, it's awful. Terrible. But you have to talk about them. You have to include Houston, 37-29. But they slid a little bit this month for me as well. And then the Yankees, it was really hard for me to include the Yankees in this tier, even though I'm a big old fatty fat superior Yankees fan. And I feel all the kind of smug all the time. But they are in trouble a little bit right now. They've got kind of anyway, I'm not going to get into it because I'll just get angry. The point is, I'm worried. Let's move on.
You're worried. Okay. All right. So let's go to my question mark.
Okay.
You talked about the Blue Jays. I have them here with Cleveland's baseball team, the Giants, Red Sox, Reds, Brewers, Twins, Angels. So I had the Blue Jays here just because, like you said, that like I don't feel like you know who this team is day to day. You don't know what kind of stuff their manager's going to do from day to day. They have all kinds of issues on that team with Bass and Manoah. Like, granted, those are completely different issues in and of themselves with both of those guys, but like you were relying on Alek Manoah returning to form, who was a Cy Young finalist last year, and now he's down in the Florida Complex League.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah,
that is a big time problem. But then you still got Bo Bichette raking, Vlad Guerrero raking, right? So, and Matt Chapman being Matt Chapman.
Matt Chapman's awesome.
So, like, yeah, you've got issues on that team. You've got bright spots. So I don't know who they are day to day. That's my big question mark there. I put the Reds here just because I do need them to work up. I'm really high on the Reds right now, like I talked about earlier. I didn't feel like I could put them in the heart tier quite yet, just because they've got to prove a little bit more sustainability than what they've had over the last 2 weeks. But I think that they're a dangerous team. Even if they don't make the playoffs, they're going to ruin a lot of teams' days along the way. Like,
yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I think they've got a lot of talent on that team, and if they can get that, and sometimes like it's just the cohesion, right? And they seem like they have it. A couple years ago, I said the Reds sure made losing look a whole lot of fun. This team,
That's true.
Winning look like a whole lot of fun. So
suddenly,
yeah. So I think that's what the Reds have going for them, and I think it can carry a lot. I don't think that they can compete with like the Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Braves, but
no.
But they're a mid to upper echelon team right now, I feel like. But I need them to show, like I said, a little bit more consistency before I move them up out of the question mark. The Brewers, I don't know what I'm getting from them. You can't get swept by the A's and be any higher than question mark, in my opinion. And then the AL Central is a big fat question mark. You've got the leaders with the Twins right now, who are a 500 team. And then you've got Cleveland just behind them by a game and a half. Don't know who they are day to day. So I don't know. That's a big problem for me. And same thing with the Red Sox. You don't know which team's showing up to the ballpark from day to day. And my big one right here, I got to talk about the Angels for a minute. I feel like the Angels have the worst manager in Major League Baseball right now, with Phil Nevin. And Shohei Ohtani, I saw an article that said that he is feeling fatigued, and it's got to be his back because he is carrying that team.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
He and Mike Trout are carrying that team. That is the only reason they are 36-31. The manager is doing his very best to prevent that, but they're doing it anyway. Like I put them here just because, like, I don't bet on the Angels because I don't know what they're going to do any day, right? Like this. If you want to know, like, hey Brad, which teams don't you bet on? Take the Reds out, because I have been the rest of this group, because I don't know who they're going to be day to day.
That's exactly right.
So
that's exactly
anyway,
right.
That's my question mark tier.
Mine's very similar. I've got the Mariners, Giants, Padres, Red Sox, Phillies, Brewers, Twins, and Angels. And it's interesting that I got the Twins here because they are at the top of the division right now. Angels, for every reason you said. The Giants, the Giants are only here because I didn't want to overload the tiers below. The Brewers really upset me by getting swept by the A's. I mean, I'm not personally offended, but they upset my power ranking options. And so I was like, well, fine. And I stuck them here out of spite, but this is where they have to be. The Friars are lucky to be in this spot, honestly. Like San Diego, it's amazing that I'm even this confident in their capabilities. This is purely a product, in my decision-making matrix, of their vast talent. And like you said, the ability that they have at any moment to come out banging. And that could be a bad day for a lot of people. It just hasn't happened yet. So I still hold out hope. The dang Red Sox, I think they're right at 500. And if they were in any other division, they wouldn't be having so many problems. They're just victims of the AL East. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But that's my question mark tier. I've got the Phillies in there. I feel like I need to clarify the Phillies thing a little bit because you're excited about them. I'm a little low on them right now because
they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, I'm a sad, angry little man, basically, is the reason the Phillies are down here.
Spite.
I just need more from them, man. I can't.
We've been needing more from them for the last 5 years, Brig.
That's
even
why
the fact they
I'm
made
upset.
It to the World Series last year, we still needed more from them because they're a good team.
I think that's exactly why I'm upset. They're 8 games behind the Braves. I'm not sure they're going to do anything to catch them, even though there's a lot of baseball left. They're not even above 500 right now. I'm really just disappointed. They have every reason to be swinging for the fences and making a run at this again, and they're not, and it's bugging me.
So they're going to be a wild card team. I'm saying that right now. They're a game and a half back in the wild card right now. They're going to make the wild card. They will.
All right.
But again, question mark. You don't know. So
you don't know.
All right, let's go to my thumbs down. My thumbs down. I've got the Padres, Mets, Cardinals, White Sox, the Mariners, Rockies, Cubs, and Tigers. I'll get to the Mariners in a minute.
Yeah, you
will. But the Padres, like we said, they're such a mess right now. I don't understand any of it. I have a feeling they're going to have to sell off some pieces of the deadline because they're not getting Bally money to pay those contracts. So they're going to get worse. Yep. The Mets are awful. Big fat mess, despite being the top payroll in baseball. Turns out you cannot buy a championship anymore in Major League Baseball. Look at that. And I think the Yankees figured out, and that's why they're not spending a whole bunch of money anymore. Look at that. Cashman learned something, Brig.
It's all in player development.
That's right. What
it should be because the farm system's awesome. Okay.
Cardinals, not good. They had a good 5 days, and they're not good anymore. Probably people calling for Ollie Marmol's head again. The White Sox are terrible. Absolute mess. They'll be selling at the trade deadline, and I hope Tim Anderson comes to Seattle, but that's just me. The Rockies are not a good team. Not at all. The Cubs are like question mark material where you don't know where they're going to get from day to day, but you can kind of count on them being bad because they're bad more than they're good. I've seen a lot of chatter on Twitter about how David Ross is awful as a manager, which I was not expecting. Yeah. And then the Tigers are not a good team. No. They have some decent pieces. Like Spencer Torkelson's a good player. Javi Baez shows flashes of his old self every once in a while. And Akil Baddoo is a good player, but Cody Clemens has turned out to be a pretty decent first baseman.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, the sum of their pieces, and I watched Miggy score from first yesterday against the Diamondbacks. That was absolutely outstanding. They should have timed him with a sundial. It was it took him freaking forever to get. I couldn't believe that he actually did it. He was laughing as he rounded third because he knew how long it was taking him.
And they're waving him home, and he's like, "No, I need nachos first." And a nap.
Pretty much. Now for the Mariners, they're a hot mess right now. I saw a meme today. So there's a picture of Jared Kelenic from a couple years ago holding up a Believe sign. And somebody scratched out the Believe part and they wrote help. Accurate. Yes. Something is wrong in Seattle. I cannot figure out what it is. The pitching has gone to crap. The pitchers, they have the worst ERA in baseball after having had the best. It's almost like the pitchers are on strike. They're like, we're not going to pitch well until you start hitting well. You give us run support, then we'll start pitching well. That feels like what has happened. Because the pitching has been so bad the last 2 weeks. And the hitting hasn't gotten much better. They freaking brought up Mike Ford from AAA because he opted out of his minor league deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I guess we bring him up or we lose him. It's like, just lose him. The dude can't hit big league pitching. He's got 2-3 hits in the 2 weeks he's been up. That's granted, 2 of them are home runs, but still, you've got to have more than that from your DH. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah,
or
at first base, but you're not going to move Ty France. So
no, you're going to keep Ty France there because he's hitting. Julio Rodriguez is hitting again. Teoscar Hernandez had an outstanding road trip. The dude was killing the ball. So it's like now the offense is starting to come around, but then the pitching has gone on strike but hasn't come back yet. So I don't know. They're a mess. They're going to have to make a couple deals before the deadline to figure things out, or just start selling guys off and be like, you know what? We'll bring up some guys from the minor leagues and see if they're ready for next year. I don't know. It's frustrating, though. It is absolutely ridiculous right now. And big fat thumbs down for the Mariners.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I agree. All right, my thumbs down is Cleveland's baseball club. The New York Met the Bedders and the Cards, the White Sox. Those socks aren't white right now. The Reds, Cubs, and Tigers. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Reds, Cubs, and Tigers. I'm not high on the Reds like Brad is. I think that's okay to say. I just need to see more. I could see. Give me another week of what they've been doing, and I'll bump them up. But I need more still.
I get that.
Yeah, I think you covered everything really well. I want Ollie Marmol's head Yeah, I think all of these teams, if they're not in an active rebuild and don't know exactly what they're doing, then it's time to sell. Time to sell. Time to work this trade deadline for all it's worth and support the upper echelon of teams making a run and tuck your tail and go home. So
play for
basically, yeah, collect a paycheck for the rest of the season and go away.
There you go.
That's how I feel about these teams. I know Cleveland's a tough sell because they're only a game and a half back of the Twins. But just like Brad said, you don't know what you're going to get every day. They're not even above 500 right now. They're 31-34, and I'm just sick of seeing. Here's what I'm sick of with Cleveland's baseball team is we're like, oh, don't worry, they're good. Just don't worry, it's going to be okay. The problem is they're in a division with the White Sox, the Tigers, the Royals, and the Twins. The Twins. The only reason they're in first place is because they're the only team at 500. They're not above 500. They're at 500. And we're going to get into this in a minute, but the AL Central teams are the worst. It's the worst division in baseball by a boatload. The AL Central teams are 88 and 140 when playing teams outside of their division. So don't come at me about Cleveland's baseball team needing to be a little higher on my list. Okay, we can move
hold
on.
Hold on. Before we move on, I have a question for you, Brig. How about this?
Yeah, so fine. Sorry, I'm feeling real snotty
right
now.
No, you're fine because I was thinking about this while you were talking about Cleveland, and I wonder. So Terry Francona was in Boston for 8 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 years. Yeah. He's been in Cleveland for longer than that. He's been there for 11 years.
Whoa.
This is year 11. So is it time to move on?
Yeah, that might be the answer.
I think that could be it.
Yeah.
That Tito's stale. And which, as much as we love him, as much as everybody, I know he took time off for health-related issues.
Yeah.
But still, that's a long time to be in one place. I think Tito might be stale in Cleveland.
Tito had, after 2016, I think it took him a while to kind of recover from that. And then, we just haven't gotten back there. Last season, they made a pretty good push, but as of right now, I'm not seeing the same verve. I'm just not.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe he's getting the Mad Dog, same problem, Madden.
Yeah, Mad Dog. Because he's only managed just barely over. Where is it? Oh, he's managed 300 more games in Cleveland than he did in Boston.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably time. Yeah. 1,500.
I think so too. That's a 16. Good point. That's some spot on analysis there, my friend.
Well, trends.
Timely. You're the bomb. All right, let's talk about poop.
Poop. Okay, my poop tier has the A's, Nats, Royals. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Despite the sweep, the A's they've still only won 17 games, still not good. And I don't think they're going anywhere. And it'd be nice if they proved me wrong, but I sure don't want them to catch Seattle because that would be embarrassing. The Royals are not much better, honestly. They've won 18 games. The only way they're better is that they are 92 runs better in the run differential column because the A's are minus 194 and the Royals are minus 102. So got that going for them, which is nice. And then the Nats are not a good team either, despite having beat the Braves yesterday. A broken clock is wrong twice a day, so that's fine. That's the way it goes. Tell us about your robust poop tier, Brig.
I have a robust poop tier. The A's have only won 7 games at home. The Royals have only won 9 games at home. Okay? That should speak for itself. Oh, my goodness. Let's move over to the Nationals, who've only won 12 games at home. Man. The Rockies the Rockies are 16 and 19 at home. So that's not that bad. They've only
the Rockies are so funny.
Games.
Like I was watching them a couple weeks ago. I can't remember if I told you this. I was watching them, and they were just so bad defensively. I was like, when you're that bad, like with your pitching, you can't be this bad with your defense.
No.
because they're never going to get elite pitching being in Colorado.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it works. Or just like the
So,
Mariners don't get elite hitting because of their ballpark. It's the same thing. But like, yeah, you can't be that bad defensively when you're that bad with your pitching.
You're not allowed to be. So in my last tier, I said that those teams need to start thinking about moving some pieces. This tier they don't have pieces to move.
The Royals do.
The Royals do. The Royals
they have Salvi Perez, but their GM is like, no, we're not moving him.
Well, hey,
Why?
he's getting old anyway.
Why not? I don't care.
Yeah,
Somebody would bring him on as a DH.
Oh,
he's
for
still
sure.
a good DH.
For sure.
I'd take him
totally
in Seattle
agree.
as a DH. I'd take anybody who can swing a bat and make contact as a DH in Seattle these days.
Exactly.
Because you don't have it.
It's not Mike Ford.
Not Mike Ford, not AJ Pollock. I'm sorry.
No. All right, that's my emoji tier stuff. Brad and I, we have a working theory about what's happening in the league right now. And ultimately, it comes down to the balanced schedule. We think that, at least I'm not going to put words in your mouth, Brad. I think that the reason some teams are so bad and so many teams are so good, but they're log jammed all in the same divisions because of this new balanced schedule crap. And
right. I thought I was going to like it, but
same. I was just going to say that. Like, I wanted to like it. I loved it at first. Here we are in June, and I'm not happy at all. It's a failed experiment.
So looking at the standings now, like like you said, there's teams that are log jammed in certain divisions. You kind of have to have them beat up on each other to even things out a little bit. Because you see this in the NBA as well. You've seen it for years, where the Eastern Conference, where it was like, okay, they play a heavier schedule in the Eastern Conference, which you have here. You have a heavier schedule in the American League if you're an AL team, and then you have even more so than that, you have a heavier schedule within your division. That's normal. That's how things go. That's how divisions work, right? And you saw the same thing in the NBA. It's like you'd see teams in the Eastern Conference like, man, the East is really top heavy, but then they go play the West. It's like, oh, gee, they're getting crushed.
Yeah.
And that's the way you're seeing things right now. Like the AL East is loaded, but it's because they're going and beating up on the AL Central a ton,
and a bunch of National League teams and all this. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely bananas. But is this the reason we get to be high on the Orioles, or are the Orioles really that good? I think they're that good, but it is something to note. Same with the D-backs. If the Dodgers weren't getting hammered by some of these other teams that they are seeing more often than they usually do, would that be a factor in the D-backs' success?
So I think the D-backs are legit. They have a good team. Because this is the thing with the D-backs is that they have a lot of talent on that team. It's just that last year they dealt with injuries and underperformance, right?
Yeah.
This year everybody's healthy and everybody is playing at peak level, right? They got Lourdes Gurriel, who was a really good player in Toronto.
Yeah,
he's crushing it
somehow. Yeah,
it's amazing. But I think this is who the Dodgers are. I think this is who they've been. It's that they were able to benefit from beating up on the D-backs when they were bad, and the Rockies, right, and the Giants when they weren't good.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's done a couple things like we talked about. It's created a logjam in some divisions, allowed the AL East, some of the teams in the AL East to pad their record, but it's kind of exposed the Dodgers. The Orioles, as far as the Orioles go, I think this is who they are. I think we've seen their true identity come out as well, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's everyone's true identity, right?
Totally. That's a good way to look at it.
What it comes down to is that the league is not nearly as balanced as what we thought it was for years, because the AL Central was just beating up on itself, and the team that was the best, maybe the Twins, was taking advantage of playing the Royals and the Tigers a whole lot, right?
Right.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is a good thing, but we just don't like it because of the way that it looks in the standings.
Yeah, it doesn't look good right now, but that's a good perspective, Brad. That's actually enlightening, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I had not thought about it that way. Baseball family, what do you think? Are you upset by this? Is this exposure good for the game? Are we really getting everybody's true colors right now? And that's kind of the point. Or is Manfred, that's his name, is Rob going to sit there and go, see, this is what our analysis showed us. We exposed it. Now, because it's been so awful, we get an opportunity to make some big adjustments. which is what they're hoping to do anyway, with like a completely non-segregated. What do you call that, Brad? My brain's not working. Where there's no leagues.
No
what
leagues.
Is that? 0 leagues.
No alignment. I don't know. I don't think they'll ever get rid of leagues, right? If anything, they'll realign it and maybe make it East and West, but I don't think they'll ever get rid of. I think that it'll always be at least broken into 2.
It has to be, I think. But
and then I think divisions make sense too, just for the schedule and travel. But even though I've heard people say that divisions don't make any sense now that everybody flies private.
Yeah,
that it doesn't matter, but I think it matters.
6 teams that made the playoff last year are under 500. Phillies, Mariners, Cleveland's baseball team, Padres, Mets, Cardinals. Does that support or take away from the true colors argument?
It could. Because the Mariners are barely under 500 right now, but they've taken advantage of beating the A's a lot.
For sure. Yeah.
And if they had 2 more series against the A's, they'd be over 500 by several games.
Right.
If Cleveland had played several more games against the Royals and Tigers at this point, they'd be over 500. If the Padres had more games against the Rockies, they'd be over 500.
Yep.
Or closer, because they're a little ways
closer. Yeah.
The Cardinals, I think, are just bad this year. The Mets just are not playing good baseball. The Mets have a lot of really good pieces, but they're just not playing good baseball. They have the 2 best pitchers from baseball like 2 years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, but those guys are old. Like Verlander and Scherzer, I think, are just washed.
They're not doing it. I don't know.
And the Phillies are a good team. I think they've just had their struggles, and I think if they had a chance to beat up on who's at the bottom of the AL East right now,
NL East.
Yeah, the NL East. Who's at the bottom of the NL East right now?
It's the Nationals and the Mets.
Yeah, if they played the Nats a few more times, they'd be over 500. Mm-hmm. And if they had a chance to play the Mets a few more times, even they'd probably be over 500.
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that
the Mets are 2-8 in their last 10.
So bad. I think they lost 6 in a row or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's terrible.